Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
Now, by an overwhelming majority of 128 to 9, the United Nations General Assembly has declared America's decision to recognise Jerusalem as the capital of Israel as null and void. Dozens of countries abstained, but it's unclear how many were deterred by President Trump's threat to cut off funding to states which opposed his declaration. And the US said it would still move its embassy to Jerusalem, insisting it was the right thing to do. As Jane Deeth reports.
More anti-Trump protests by Palestinians in the West Bank. The US president's unilateral decision to recognise Jerusalem as Israel's capital has been inflammatory and goes against decades of international consensus that the status of the holy city should be negotiated by Israel and the Palestinians. Today, the UN General Assembly voted overwhelmingly to declare President Trump's stance on Jerusalem null and void.
The result of the vote: in favour, 128.
It is a symbolic vote that won't change anything, perhaps the reason why nations like Mexico and Canada abstained. But the majority of countries did criticise America, despite US Ambassador Nikki Haley's not-so-veiled threat to anyone who went against them.
This vote will make a difference on how Americans look at the UN and on how we look at countries who disrespect us in the UN. And this vote will be remembered.
President Trump's warned the US won't be a cash cow for countries that don't have America's back.
They take hundreds of millions of dollars and even billions of dollars, and then they vote against us. Well, we're watching those votes. Let them vote against us. We'll save a lot. We don't care.
The US does put billions of dollars its allies' way. Next year, it plans to give Egypt $1.3 billion. Jordan's also expecting $1 billion. Another ally, Pakistan, has been promised more than $300 million. They've defied America at the UN, but will President Trump really turn off the tap to vital security partners? It could be an empty threat, but it didn't go down well. President Erdogan of Turkey said his country couldn't be bought.
What do they call the US? The cradle of democracy. The cradle of democracy is looking to buy our will with dollars. Mr. Trump, you cannot buy Turkey's democratic will with your dollars.
The US says it's not abandoning the peace process, just moving its embassy. Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu claimed other countries will eventually treat Jerusalem as Israel's capital.
The attitude of many countries towards Israel is changing outside the walls of the United Nations, and that change will ultimately permeate into the UN, the House of Lies.
The Palestinians welcomed the vote, calling it a victory for Palestine. It's a token victory, though, and it may do little except worsen the US's already fractious relations with the UN.